But maybe turn the other one off.
There we go.
Not working. Sorry, we've had mixed success with this today. If you don't mind, I can just, if you want to just tell me here. Or if you're comfortable with just using the, then you have the.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Damon Johnson. I am the Executive Vice President of Business Intelligence at Global Risk Solutions. In my abundance of spare time, I'm also a grain farmer in East Central Saskatchewan. My family grain farm, so we have about 7,500 acres over there. So my passion is ag, and I'm also an economist by trade, so I hate agricultural risk. So I also understand I'm in a tough spot. After lunch, before coffee break, stuffy basement, and you get to hear about actuarial mathematics and insurance. So I'll try to make it somewhat interesting. So we've been, there's lots of familiar faces in here who have seen some of these things from a lot of the stakeholder groups that we're actually working with at the time. So really just, I won't get too deep into the technical thing. That's where I'm comfortable. I'm a data scientist. I spent a morning at the university building artificial intelligence, things that hopefully see the light of day in your industry at a certain point in time. So really what we're here to talk about today, or what I am, is you've been talking about forages and all that exciting world. I'm here to talk about the world of if we get bad weather and you don't have enough forage to feed your animals, some of the risk management options that some really great organizations are working on. So this is really going back to 2021 at this point when we originated this project to essentially explore development of a fully structured, risk evaluated, actuarial sound marketable insurance solution for livestock producers in the Canadian prairies to accessorize enhanced risk management programs that are available to you when there is a lack of feedstock for your animals. So the goal has been to really accelerate. We've really accelerated it in the last little bit with, I was just talking to Dale from SCIC out in the hallway, and I'll talk about some of that really good work ongoing right now. But this to develop a new forage insurance product for industry stakeholders to assess the viability, effectiveness, market accessibility, and broad producer base. So it's got to fit with everybody, the producers, the insurance companies, the people that manage the product, the people that do the customer support, everybody that's involved really has to be really involved at a key level, and we've been really keen to get a lot of that feedback from producers on those types of things. So why now? Weather and climate is getting a lot of really a lot of news. It's becoming, the weather events are becoming more acute, in terms of the severity and the frequency, which in the world of insurance is what we measure as a predictor of the future occurrence. And then climate events are becoming more chronic in their cycle duration, like the 7-year drought that we've experienced in a lot of areas in the province. So, both of those impact annual grassland production, while at the same time in my world, new technology, new data capabilities, they've advanced very quickly. We're doing things, in 5 months that it used to take us 5 years to do. So, in our world of creating insurance off of a single weather event, too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry, or our satellite image says there's not enough feed there to feed your animals, we need to pay you insurance. That's our world. So all these things are kind of converging into what could be a solution for an industry, and we're really focused on that. And I saw there was the Western producer last Friday talking about kind of just national BRM program review and different things. It said mitigating risk is essential for any business, organization, or sector to succeed. However, the first step is to truly understand that risk, and that's where we're now in year almost 3 with this project, to really understand that risk, so we really understand what it means for producers and for everybody that's involved. So just some quick background. I think it's important because this has been on the go. I was talking to Tara in Regina a couple of weeks ago. I said, have you heard of this project that we're working on? And she's looking at me like, I don't. So it's really important to get the word out, I believe, and just understanding that there's some really key organization and key people really focused on a solution. So I just, going back to 2021, myself, Dave Sullivan, Jonathan Small, and my team met with Chad McPherson from SSGA, who of course, very strong stakeholder organization, getting feedback from growers, just said, how can we approach this a little bit from the standpoint of, is there a data source that, is not, that satellite basically can start to work on something, and there's lots of press and different things around it, but, so we kind of at that point said, let's go do some research, and that's the world I work in. So, we looked at a number of different satellite companies and different things, and these things have been tried before. But it was from the standpoint that if we were going to use a satellite source to assess the health of a grassland, how could we treat this differently? And you'll hear me talk about Airbus today a lot. And Airbus is they're a big company based out of France that has their own satellites that go over Saskatchewan every single day and take a picture of all the things that are growing as an assessment of how healthy those things are. So we worked with SSGA. We accessed some AAFC funding and went to work and really did a fairly basic research project to kind of do a broad assessment to say, in 2021, we all know that very obviously there was a feed shortfall. We had a significant drought. Is it, would the satellite have said that we should pay a claim, and also would, an existing program said that we should claim, and would the customer, the grower, the producer also feel the same way? So we went through that proof of concept through 2023. We presented a report to IGFIT, which is the Industry Government Forage Insurance Task Team, and then we had more support to continue. So that moved us into, last year at this time, and just a resounding amount of support from industry. SSGA, obviously, CCA was big, AAFC, SCIC, all the acronyms. Alberta, Manitoba, our organization, obviously, Global Ag Risk, Sask Cattle Association, and then a lot of livestock producers that we also engaged for feedback as well too, to allow us to give us their lands, of different composition of grasses on their farms, and allow us to run the model over those farms to say, in 2021, would we have paid a claim, and would you have expected to, and what other programs? So we spent a lot of time ground proofing those results as well, just to make sure that, when the crazy guy like me is standing at the front of the room saying a satellite is going to create an insurance product, that I have to be able to stand in front of people and say it works and performs as you would expect an insurance product to do. So as we did that, that continued, and we ultimately selected a company called Airbus, and why they were at the forefront, I would say, is that they have an existing technology that they've deployed Eastern Europe, France, Italy, and as well as South America, and really broad cattle producing areas in Brazil and Argentina as well too. So our relationship with insurance companies that we had at that time, kind of made that natural introduction, and we essentially took their existing technology, which, how it is different is that Mother Nature doesn't make straight lines like we would associate a township or a rural municipality, or the case may be, is it really characterizes what we're assessing and analyzing all the lands based off of, that biophysical property, the vegetation that's normally there, land use, conservation, land changes, all those types of things, to do an assessment that, are we actually looking at is it a native grass, is it tame hay, whatever the case may be, to be able to look at it and recognize it and model it. So essentially what we were doing is to identify the exceptional years, which we over 20 years that we do the analysis, we can see what average is. Exceptional years where it falls well below is what we're interested in, that when it falls below, much like a rainfall program would be, if you're insured for 70%, we only see 60% you're going to be due. Global application, and we essentially took that, working with organizations like SCIC, to domesticate that in Canada. So why Airbus was really important is, given that they've kind of mastered the art already, is that there's a really long time series. Insurance guys like me and Dale love long time series to do our analysis on. If we did all of our analysis on the last 7 years, that would make really expensive insurance premiums for people in Saskatchewan, given that it would be representing a lot of risk, and we need a longer time series to look at. So it's doing the analysis, and I'll show you a map that'll make you kind of squint and go cross-eyed a little bit, but we're looking at 40 across Western Canada, 40,000 measurement points that were of every single farm, and I'll show you an example of that. And we're getting data from them every single day to do that assessment. So nerds like me would say the data is spatially and temporally complete. It means that every day is represented on a very small granular basis, and the maps I say that speak in that we'll talk about basis risk in a second. So we got, a big blobby map that looks like the normal analysis, which of course we're all familiar with being landowners and land users. But even in that 6 mile by 6 mile radius, or within a township, there's 23,040 acres. There's still a lot of things. We're just getting closer to the farm, closer to the risk, and we're measuring that right on top of the farm. So that's really the whole goal. Easy said than done, because it's great to say it out loud, but then the analysis, and that's where we've been involved in with Dale and his team at SCIC, is to look at each one of what I'll call it a mesh grid from this point forward, is that each one of those mesh grids, those funky little borders, to take a look at and go, oh, would that represent your farm? So we had really two big objectives, and this was engagement with the folks at SCIC, was, can we create an improved proxy for exceeding things that we were looking to mitigate, that if instead of a weather system, which might be reporting a different rainfall, to create that measurement. And then improving, like I said, we've been highly collaborative with producers, where they've given us their production records to say a traditional program and our salads the same. And quite doing so, we need to measure short season crops as a short season crop, season tame crop, summer season we're analyzing. So getting very specific to the crop type and the use case for it. So in that improved proxy, so at minimum, you'll only ever have a problem in the market for one that's it's got to produce claims experience. And of course, the big one is the reliable measurement for native pasture. If there's a location of way, does that close that gap? So that was step number one.